I say this with full responsibility, and I think it's a really spectacular lens. It's nothing short of incredible. So people, welcome. This ugly mug here is Radu. This wonderful little fellow is the Konica Hexanon AR 40mm f1.8, reviewed in a previous video, available in one of these corners, sitting on a still relevant, if almost 10-year-old camera, the legendary and beastly, if I may say so myself, Sony A7R, the first generation. But that's not the subject of today's video. What is the subject of today's video is this, the YASHICA ML 28mm f2.8, sitting here on a Contax YASHICA to NEX adapter. So, a bit of a spoiler, it's a fantastic lens. Now, I've had it since January, this being May, and I've used it for what now, like almost half a year, shooting it in all sorts of various situations. Not exclusively, mind you, but it has been my main lens throughout this time. I've shot it indoors, outdoors, in the sun, in the shade, pretty much in all conditions you can think of. So I have a pretty good understanding of how it works. So let's talk about this. Now, as far as sharpness is concerned, this lens is a performer. Even starting from wide open at f2.8, center resolution and sharpness is nothing short of incredible. It's really fantastic. There's really not much to complain about. It does exhibit a bit of softness, especially if you go really far into the corners, but that is entirely gone even from f4, and reaching f8, this lens comes into its own. It's really spectacular in terms of sharpness. There's corner to corner sharpness, perfect resolution, and really nothing to complain about. The ability to resolve detail is fantastic. It's crisp, it's punchy, and really great. Colors are also really punchy, really vibrant, vivid, well saturated, pleasant, and lively. The way it renders colors, I think it's kind of elegant in a way. I would be tempted to say it's subdued and muted, but I really don't want you to have the impression this lens does not offer great colors and punchy, contrasty tones, because it does. This lens is also very much suited for any sort of monochrome work, delivering punchy, silvery tones, great tonal range, and I might seem like a fanboy, but there's really not enough words in my vocabulary to describe how good this lens is. It's easily out there with the best of the Nikons, the best of the Canons. It's, as far as image quality goes, it's really fantastic. One thing that I found rather surprising is this lens's ability to render out of focus depth of field blur. While being a wide angle lens, this has a very decent ability to focus up close, and thus being a quasi macro lens. Entirely a misnomer, but hey, take it with a grain of salt. At 0.3 of a meter, you can get pretty close to a subject, and given the right distance from the subject to the background blur this lens produces is really something to write home about. Quite uncharacteristically of a wide angle, this lens produces buttery smooth background blur where shapes and colors melt together in an amorphous mass of pure mush. And I mean that in the best of ways. Just see these examples here. It's used well, it's great for subject separation. It can be easily used for portraits. And this brings me to the part where I talk about the flaws of this lens. And I'm hard pressed to find any. Well, that is far from me claiming this is a perfect lens, because there is no such thing as a perfect lens. But that is to say that this lens is excellent in all the ways you can imagine. There is just the tiniest bit of barrel distortion as far as geometric distortions go. It handles straight lines really well, and the little there is very easily fixable in post. It handles direct light very well, flaring just a little, and the little it does flare is pleasant and can be used artistically. Now, as far as build quality goes, this lens is top-notch. It's extremely well built, entirely out of metal and glass, with the exception of the focusing ring, which is covered by a rubber band. But other than that, it's just pure brilliant construction work. It feels like a solid piece of engineering. There is no looseness, there is no shake. It feels great in the hand. The focusing ring turns for 180 degrees smoothly and precisely, allowing for really comfortable and confident focusing. The aperture ring is again clicked very confidently, so every full stop. And overall, the build quality and construction of this lens is really nothing short of fantastic. That about wraps up my review of the YASHICA ML 28mm f2.8. I say this with full responsibility, and I think it's a really spectacular lens. It's nothing short of incredible, especially considering the 50 bucks I paid for it. Now, if you enjoy this type of content, if you'd like to see more vintage lens reviews, more tutorials, more open source software, more Linux, more opinion pieces and vlogs and street photography, please do consider subscribing. Press that like button, share this video with your friends, and if you want to support me, there's also a buy me a coffee link down below, and you can make a small donation. Bye bye everybody, be well, until next time, see you.